Hello everybody, welcome back to Training Every Single Day. Today I focused a lot on leg training, a lot of jumping, a lot of balancing on the legs, and just a little bit of some acrobatic and power movements. Now the reason I did that was because doing some upper body training was just too much. I didn't want to spend any of my willpower on that. Now you can take away from this kind of idea is that you only have a limited amount of willpower, you only have a limited amount of energy dedicated to making decisions. When you have maybe you only have one level of exercise to yourself, to your program, going to the gym. If going to the gym is the easiest level of exercise to you, that's going to put a lot more strain on you than it needs to be. For me, the easiest amount of training for physical exercise is just going outside and doing some fun movement that I like doing. Something that's very low friction, very easy to accomplish, ends up doing more for you in the long run because you only have so much willpower. And if you spend a lot of willpower just to go to the gym or do some kind of big exercise routine, sometimes you need to focus on the small things. An example of how you only have limited willpower would be like if you spend a lot of time trying to save money by like eating at home and not drinking coffee out, making your own coffee at home. While that does save some money, and it does save a little bit of money, to get someone's finances in order, you need to focus on something a little bit larger than that. You need to either move and learn some new skills, go to school, get a different job. And those are big decisions. If you focus too much on the small decisions, you're not going to be able to make the large decisions. So if you don't have enough time to go to the gym, which would be a big decision, you'd really want to, have some of these small things that you can do to set you towards your goal. This is kind of like the opposite end of the spectrum than the finance example. But you should always have, something easy that you can do all the time. So you can get more work into your body, more time developing some of the properties that you want in your body and some of the things that you don't even know that you want. Because as you get older, your objectives will change, your goals will change. You'll need to kind of want to build a wide base of what you're training for. Have a lot of capabilities, a lot of adaptations that you're developing that are very general so that, whatever the future might hold, you can be somewhat prepared for it. And the same thing can be going for your diet. When you go to your diet, you want to obviously try to eat as clean as you can, but don't get super anal about it where you can't, eat something that's a little bit unhealthy if it's more convenient. In the long run, you don't want to be eating super convenient, unhealthy food all the time, but every once in a while, it can be good for you because it allows you to recover some willpower so that you can continue to go to the gym and continue to work on your goals. So, man, even if you don't want to go to the gym, that's completely fine. You can do a small 10 minutes of squatting and while watching TV or reading a book or whatever, going on the computer, instead of going to the gym, and you can still build momentum and still make progress and not really get too burnt out when it comes to something difficult like making changes in your body and making changes in your lifestyle. You want to make it as easy as possible so that you can focus on the big decisions that make the biggest impact. So whatever that is, smash like if you're going to make good decisions in your health. So what I did today was a lot of outside training, and it was super hot. It was actually like 100 degrees outside. And my upper body, I couldn't really train any upper body. I just knew that my upper body was fatigued. But my lower body had a lot of energy. And the main movement that I really liked doing today was the jump squats and jumping in general. But the jumping squat really put a lot of really worked the lower body really well. And I want to see how much fatigue that really adds to myself. But I do feel like the jumping squat might be more of a staple when it comes to the future training. I really did enjoy it. It seemed to work every part of the legs, even the lower back. And, jumping, this can translate into some backflips. And you can go forwards and backwards. There's a lot of variation you can add. So I recommend you do some jumping, you do some running in your life, because at some point in your life as you get older, there will be one day where you never jump again. There's going to be one day that you're never able to run again. And I want it to be, some people don't do that. There's Jack LaLanne, who is a fitness icon, jumping jacks. He was doing his fitness routine, jumping, hand balancing, up until the day he died. And that's one of my goals, so that, I just can live a vigorous life my entire life without, ever losing some of these abilities like walking or jumping or running. That's why I like to be super functional, try to build up more than I need to, so that I can hold on to it longer than I would ever need to. I really did enjoy this jumping here. Again, you'll probably see some tomorrow. I want to do some upper body training, some press handstands, full presses, and the one-arm pull-ups. Lower body training is I think it's very fun. There's a lot of volume in it required, because the lower body is more of an endurance musculature, where the upper body is more focused on strength and focus on like quick and explosive movements, while the lower body has a lot of endurance. If you think about it, just like walking around and running, your legs have that kind of endurance to them, that attribute. Here I'm training the jumps in all sorts of patterns. There's the vertical jump, horizontal jump, like a running hurdle type of jump, because you never want to get too stuck into one kind of plane of motion or one pattern of movement, because there's no such thing as overtraining. There's just over specialization. So a lot of people, very common example is people doing a lot of bench press, a lot of push-ups, and it's good for you to do those things, but the way that most people do them is not good, because it just ends up reducing their shoulder and chest mobility so much that their shoulders and chest are so tight, they're so inflexible, that they really are just super injury prone. One of the things you notice, like the people who are super muscular, who are the most muscular, make a lot of sacrifices in their movements, because to get that kind of big, to be like the biggest people, they have to make sacrifices in their quality of movement and in their flexibility, just to achieve that level of size. I don't have any examples like on screen or anything, but the stereotype of like a bodybuilder being very stiff and very not able to move, while not necessarily true, almost always is the case that those people are the worst movers, have like some of the worst coordination, and get injured a lot more frequently than other people. So you want to train your coordination, you want to train your balance in your body to not be over specialized. There's no such thing as overtraining, just lack of diversity in it. That's why I'm able to train every day, still make progress, still have some fun. I said it once, I'll say it again, there's no such thing as overtraining, just a lack of diversity in it. Because even if you're doing something that you have fatigue is a limiting factor, but you can train things that don't add fatigue. There's coordination, there's things like juggling or expression and creativity in your movements that are useful and don't add fatigue and can actually help reduce that and help you recover. So anyways, it's getting to the end of the video. Smash the like button and comment something for the algorithm to help me out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.